We live in a world surrounded by unimaginable natural wealth, yet the communities living closest to these resources often struggle simply to survive. The wealth is clearly there, and it gets pulled out of the earth every single day. Look at the scale of this timber harvest, completely dwarfing the people standing on top of it. Or look at this terraced open-pit mine carved straight into the valley. Billions of dollars in minerals are hauled out of operations exactly like this, but the local populations rarely see the benefit. This creates a tragic irony. Nations and individuals sitting on immense natural fortunes spend their existence constantly begging for outside assistance. They become self-made slaves to dependency. If mountains of raw timber and valleys full of minerals do not eliminate poverty, then our basic societal definition of wealth is incorrect. We typically measure the gap between the rich and the poor using external scorecards, bank account balances, zip codes, and physical possessions. That external focus naturally leads to top-down financial aid. We see global institutions like the World Bank attempting to solve poverty simply by sending money. We try to fix the problem by handing out fish. When an individual relies on these external handouts for survival, the incentive to develop their own productive capacity begins to atrophy. They often become more proficient at writing sad stories to secure the next grant than they are at building a sustainable business. Poverty exists primarily in the mind. Funneling money into a poor mindset only solidifies a cycle of dependency, as the root cause of the struggle, the mental conditioning, remains unaddressed. To break that cycle, we have to look at the balance sheet of life. This framework replaces traditional financial assets with mental assets, like character and discipline, and it logs mental liabilities, like fear and the constant urge for instant gratification. This balance sheet reveals a stark dividing line. The vast majority of people operate from the neck down, reacting to their circumstances through hard physical labor. A tiny fraction operates from the neck up, using their minds to actively shape their reality. A poverty mindset focuses almost entirely on the possession of resources. It is an obsession with hoarding knowledge, collecting titles, and buying cheap goods simply for the sake of saying you own them. True power stems from the systematic organization of resources. It is the ability to take what is already available and intelligently convert it into value for the community. This internal psychological capability to effectively use resources is called personal viability. It is the only true asset that guarantees long-term survival. This diagram shows how the exact same paycheck creates two completely different outcomes depending on the mental engine processing it. We have the game of the poor on one side and the game of the rich on the other. In the game of the poor, the flow is strictly linear. Income moves directly into expenses and instant gratification, and the path ends abruptly at a zero balance. This linear system traps the earner. Even if you double their salary, the money just rushes through the system faster. The endpoint remains exactly zero. Now look at the game of the rich pathway. Their first move is to divert the flow, sending the money into a continuous loop to invest and multiply. By delaying their gratification, they force that investment loop to generate a secondary stream of passive income, which feeds right back into the top of their system. The trajectory of your wealth is set by the shape of the engine you build, whether it is a linear path that terminates at zero or a cyclical loop that feeds itself. This behavioral pattern extends well beyond personal finance. A poor mindset operates on a supply-driven system. People wait passively for governments, employers, or charities to supply them with instructions, jobs, and bailouts. The rich mindset is demand-driven. These individuals actively search for market needs. They don't wait for permission to act, and they treat failure not as a defeat, but as a necessary teacher. Shifting from a passive receiver of circumstances to an active solver of problems is the only way to break free from systemic dependency. Accumulating money simply to buy liabilities and impress your peers is a trap. That endless cycle of comparison and conspicuous consumption is like living in a financial prison called Hollywood. True prosperity operates like a powerful, fast-flowing river. Energy, service, and abundance must continuously circulate and move forward, rather than being stagnantly hoarded. The core of personal viability is Project Me. It is the unglamorous daily discipline of refining internal habits rather than chasing external symbols of status. When you focus inward and develop courage, absolute integrity, and extreme competence, you create an undeniable magnet. That internal character naturally attracts human capital, new opportunities, and eventually financial capital. You already possess every intangible resource and mental capacity required to be massively prosperous. The only step left is to stop waiting for someone to give you what you need and start using what you already have.